What it do? It's your boy Jay Reed. We here with another banger. So we're going to talk about how Suge Knight bailed out of Tupac in 1995. So Suge Knight started his Death Row label in the early 90s. 1991 he started. He got Dr. Dre and Michelle out of their contracts. That's how he started Death Row. They were supposed to be like the Motown of the 90s. I mean, I think Suge Knight and them are the Suge Knight and Death Row are the creators of gangster rap. I mean, they're a part of the forefathers of gangster rap. You know, he got Dr. Dre out of his Ruthless record, which was ran by Eazy-E and manager Jerry Heller, and he got the DOC and Michelle A, and that's how he started. That's how he started his group, Death Row. And they had the Chronic album, which is one of the greatest albums of all times. I feel like if you haven't heard that album, go listen to the Chronic album. The Chronic went on to be triple platinum status by the end of 1993. And it's crazy because he released another one 10 years later. In 92, he released one damn near 9 years later. He only got like 2 albums out of Dre. I prefer the first one. The Chronic 2000 was a classic one too as well. Y'all definitely should check out that too, by the way. Definitely check that project out when y'all get a chance. And you know, here's Snoop Dogg with the Doggy Style that went quadruple platinum in '94. Like Suge and Death Row was hot. He was Body Brown Bodyguard in 1989. You know, he started his publishing companies, and he had Vanilla Ice, and they had some issues. They said he had Vanilla Ice dangling over a balcony. He took his royalties from the song Ice Ice Baby. And you know, they say, you know, one of Suge's clients written the song Mario Johnson. They remember at the time, you know, Ice Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice Van Winkle said it actually never happened, but that is a rumor. His name is Robert Van Winkle, Vanilla Ice. He was bodyground. He actually was in the NFL too, Suge Knight. From 1983 to 1985. He attended football at El Camino College. In '85, he transferred to University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and played football there for 3 to 2 years. Knight was undrafted in 1987 in a draft. Was invited to the Los Angeles Rams training camp. He was cut by the Rams during camp. But he became a replacement player in 1987 NFL player strike and played 2 games for the Rams. Then he became bodyguard in 1989. He had his publishing company. So Death Row was heating up around this time. I mean, it was blowing up. Doggy Style, that was a classic with that right there. Then they got into it with Puff and Big, that right here. In 95, he struck a deal with Shakur that October, paying his bail and freeing him from prison pending an appeal of his conviction while signing him to Death Row Records. So right then, Pac was in bail of sexual assault charges that still, he posted $3 million to get him out of jail. Pac was stuck. Pac was like one of the biggest artists in the world at this time. I mean, he was bigger than damn iPhones. First iPhone. He was bigger than the first iPhone that came out. I mean, he was larger than life. He had an assault charge. Should offer to pay a $3 million bail. A year later, Shakur was dead, assassinated in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas Strip. The fraud between the relationship with Rising Superstar and Ruthless would be meant. Oh man, yes. It is crazy because at that time they got into a fight right before he was shot. Right before Tupac was shot to death and killed in Las Vegas Strip, he got in a fight with a rival gang member, Orlando. I believe it was Orlando Johnson. Tupac had been signed to Interscope. Interscope didn't know what to do with him. Suge was really good at recognizing talent, and he recognized the talent in Tupac. He basically went to Interscope president Jimmy Iovine and said, "Give me Tupac, sign his contract over to me. I know what to do with it." So he went to get Tupac out of jail and turn him into a Death Row artist. I really feel like when Pac signed to Death Row that year, he was the biggest artist on the planet. I think if he would have lasted longer, it was just a match made in heaven, you know. But you know, Pac with Death Row, I felt like made some of his best projects. You know, All Eyes on Me is a certified classic, one of the best albums of all time, one of his best projects. And it said it was Snoop who was about the idea of Pac on Death Row. It's when he went to Rikers on that bullshit charge, and he's been in and out of trouble already. Suge said, "I need to ask you because this could hurt us. You really think Pac is innocent?" I said, "From my lips to God's ears, yes." By my experience and how polite he was. So it was actually Snoop Dogg idea, Snoop Doggy Dogg, Calvin Broder's idea to get Pac out of there. You know, it was really his idea. that would led him to there. And it really should change the trajectory of hip hop, because if not Pop, it's crazy. What if Pop would have stayed in jail? It was funny to me, if Pop would have stayed in jail, I believe he still would have been a big star, because his album Me Against the World did well. I think it went platinum or gold in prison, if I'm not mistaken. And also, would he still be alive if he would have did a year in jail? He still would have got into the street shit, being a blood or being a gangster, running with Suge Knight and the death row gangsters, and those death row gangsters. And they were saying, Suge, he came from a very poor background, never had money, so when he started to come, he assured that he would come to and spend accordingly. People in his past life had nothing for him. It was loyalty over loyalty. When he had the loyalty, he signed just for financial reasons, because at the point the label would have picked him up. Part of the reason he chose Death Row because he felt like the East Coast was against him. He would have all the powerful musical influences from Andre Ray to Puffy were a Cabell, and Pop was incarcerated, and I believe chess move. And then Suge got on there and dissed Puffy. He believed it because it was a perfect way to install into a new artist your intention to ride for him. So this was at the time, Pop was hot, going into jail. People turned against him. They was calling him the R word. And then, the East Coast, the West Coast was running rap, but the East Coast had this thing. They had Big going hard, Biggie, Craig Mack around this time. So, and Jay-Z was hot, heating up the streets. So, with Pac out of jail, man, he was on a mission. He was on a mission to prove all the haters and the naysayers wrong. That's what he did. The fall of 95, it was like a minute. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and this label was now added Tupac. We talk about super teams and big threes in the NBA. She had all three of those guys on this label at one time. Dr. Dre left by the spring of 96. Dr. Dre leaving should have been the first telltale sign. Never at his peak was such a powerful example of black entrepreneurship. The devil with the devil, man. Signing with Pop was signing with the devil. I do believe, man, maybe if Pop didn't go to Death Row, I think he would have been alive. Or if he didn't go to Vegas that night, he would have been alive. It could have been so much more. But, man, these are the consequences of your actions right here, living that life. That got to have been a mega super team right there. You had Dre, Suge, you had Dre, Snoop, and Tupac. Dr. Dre, one of the greatest hip-hop producers of all time. Him and Kanye West, I believe. Them two were like neck to neck when it come to beat making and finding talent and A&Rs. Definitely was like, West Dre left, that was a time, that was a omen for things to come right there. That was nothing but down. It was going south since then. So, he was basically the brains, the operations behind the sound. And, Nate Dogg and them, the Dog Pound. It was just so many people out of Death Row, Corrupt. Danny Boy, he had so many great people, Dad, so many people. But y'all like, comment, subscribe, folk the video. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm out.